Hello and welcome to our session today on Auditor Trends. My name is Marcus and I am pleased to be joined by the Head of Technical Services North America, Liliana Nicolay. Thank you for joining us, Liliana. Under her responsibilities, Liliana trains our auditors and qualifies them to ensure their delivery is up to accreditation requirements. She also looks after the technical team. Over to you, Liliana.
Thank you, Marcus. I would like to present this session a little bit about our paradigm shift in auditing with the new transitions of the standards. The focus for auditing used to be a lot of high-level structure and clause-based type of auditing. That switched to with the new structures for all management system standards. Auditors used to rely a lot in prescriptive auditing approach, focusing on review of documentation and procedures and policies and more on corrective type of data. This allowed, the benefit of that approach was that allowed for a consistency in documented objective evidence and provided a structure to the audit plan and the approach. Things were very much, were easier to be calibrated between auditors. However, it gave a little insight in the effectiveness of the management system and provided very little value add for the customers' businesses. The new approach of the standard now looks at the process type of approach. And from an auditor perspective, it is harder because now we have to look at, through interviewing techniques to find information to make sure the system is compliant with the standard requirements. Once the activities are understood and managed as an interrelated process, consistent and predictable results can be achieved more effectively. And this is the value add that we offer. The new standards and the new auditing approach this is the value add that we offer to our clients. So looking at the normal process approach, summary of all the activities between the inputs and outputs of a process, inputs coming from stable and capable suppliers, goes through the process of delivering a product or a service that goes to the customers as per specification and requirements of the standard or the legal requirements. Throughout this new approach, risk-based thinking is being applied by the clients and their management system and also by the auditors while they are auditing. So as auditors, we really need to look at the way clients are assessing this risk-based thinking, the upstream, all the activities, and look at from the planning to the review, look at the improvement initiatives, improvement they implemented, and improvement that supports their strategic plans. This is being achieved through different methodologies, any kind of improvement methodologies, like the MEC approach, AD, Kaizen approach, and all these methodologies are now part of the strategic plan and part of their management system. As auditors, it's important for us to understand the type of methodologies are being used by the clients, be able to evaluate those methodologies and results they are achieving. Risk-based thinking for quality, environmental, health, and safety can be used approach with different standards, risk management standards, or just normal FMEAs and other methodologies of risk assessment. How does process-based approach affect the auditing process? Again, auditors need to reflect on and audit how the system supports the organization key processes and its reliability to deliver the organizational goals. Some of these goals can include improved customer service, on-time delivery, improved health and safety and environmental performance. Some of the process approach allows for visibility across the end-to-end process, provides insight to key areas for improvement and optimization, and proactively identify potential risks. Auditors now need to investigate that. They need to understand the client's approach and evaluate if those approaches meet the standard requirements. Risk-based auditing. The shift to risk-based auditing allows the auditor to know what to focus on during an audit. It considers the context in which an organization operates. Auditors can apply an agile approach in understanding their complexity, identify their risk and legal requirements while maintaining and improving performance. We always, looking at the risk-based auditing, we always go on site with an open mind, understanding the approaches from the customers and not going by requirements in the risk management standards. It's not a mandatory requirement, and this is why when we are going to shift the mentality from a clause-based to a process-based and a risk-based approach, we always have to look at how those approaches support the strategy of the client and their management system. What are organizations continuing to struggle with? From experience and from almost a year and a half through the transition to the new version of the standard, we identify that understanding the context of the organization and how to reflect that context into the management system is one of the main struggle that organizations experience. And that is not because they are not understanding their context. It's just that documenting and sitting down and looking at the whole market research and their competition and how that information can be incorporated in their management system and have the management system supporting their strategy. And this is the bridge that needs to be, from the organization's perspective, needs to be understood and documented. Identifying external stakeholders and their impact on operations. We see customers going from not identifying more than one or two stakeholders to identifying hundreds. So finding that balance, understanding what is the most relevant for their business, understanding what will make the biggest impact on their operations, it's what organizations need to work on. Identifying opportunities. All businesses are looking at opportunities to grow their business, to make more money, to make profit. But it's the approach, the systematic approach, and making that approach, documenting it, looking at opportunities from that perspective, and using that to build on their management system is what is missing from the new approach to the standards. Organizational awareness and knowledge, very much known as training and competency, and bringing people to the level of skills that is required to make sure they do a product that meets the requirement of the standard and the customer requirements. It's always hard to understand that knowledge and awareness is not only training. And I think that leap from the organization understanding how they can keep people within the organization to have backup plans and build on their skills and knowledge can make an organization so much better, more reliable, and mitigate the risk. Not having documented information, not having mandatory procedures or policies or the quality manual, it is very hard for a lot of organizations to give that up. Organizations don't really identify what is really a required documented information, what makes sense for them to keep as a documented information and to help them in running their business. We see a lot of keeping quality manuals, a lot of procedures, not simplification is not being seen through this transition. And it will take a few years, I think, for the organization to move towards from a very much procedure policy-based to no mandatory documentation is required. It's always that feeling that they're going to miss something, and that organization are continuing to keeping, mandatory, continuing to keep procedures and manuals, and but without to understand what is really makes sense for me, how I can simplify and make it easy for my business. So those are the main struggles that organizations have throughout this transition. What auditors can do to support? First, we need to, understand how to apply complex risk assessment methodologies. Understanding every methodology that the clients are implementing, and not trying to enforce a risk management procedure, specific one. Investigating recorded information as clients decide what and how they will record information. Again, the same like auditing organization, organizations, the auditors work, and it's very hard to move towards the approach of no documented information is required, and understand what is really required as evidence, objective evidence, for us to look at and keep to make sure organizations are compliant with the standard. Flexibility is one of the most important skills that the auditors need to develop, and understanding of listening to the client with an open mind, understanding what is acceptable in regards to objective evidence. And of course, that's very important from the accreditation perspective when we are being audited as a registrar by accreditation bodies, and they look at the same objective evidence and understanding if we collected sufficient objective evidence to demonstrate compliance. This is why it's always very important from the auditor's perspective to develop the questioning techniques, because those are the ones that allow the auditor to pull from the clients those objective evidence and that information that is required to be able to document in the audit reports and make sure our decision for that organization to be certified is properly documented and has objective evidence behind. It is always a balance from having sufficient to having too much or too little, but the auditors need to be flexible and open-minded and document information through interviews rather than looking at certain evidence in paperwork or electronic. So for more information in this subject, please contact Assurance at SAI Global. That's all I had, Marcus, for today. Let me know if you have questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Liliana. That was a very insightful presentation. And as she mentioned, if you have any further questions or would like more information, either email us at assurance@saiglobal.com or please visit www.saiglobal.com. Thank you very much.